Welcome back to episode 2 of Chord Melody. Today we're going to check out a new key, a new scale, and a new chord melody. So get yourself tuned up and let's check it out. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're interested in more learning resources, head over to allforuke.com where we have a full searchable library of songs, song sheets, practice tracks, worksheets, and more. All for you, allforuke.com. All right, so for today's lesson, we're going to check out the key of D major. So let's walk through the D major scale first so that we learn the notes that we can use in the key of D major. So we start off here, 2nd fret on the C string. That's our root note, that's D. Our second note is E, and that's the 4th fret of the C string. And then we move down here to our third, which is F sharp. So our F sharp note is played 2nd fret of the E string. Then we have our G note, which is our 4th, and that's played on the 3rd fret of the E string. Then we go to our 5th, which is A. That's played on the 5th fret of the E string. Then we move down here to the A string, and we have our B note. That's our 6th, and that's the 2nd fret again. And then we move up to grab a C sharp note, which is the 4th fret of the A string. And then we're back to our regular old root here on the 5th fret of the A string. So going through that scale nice and slow, we have D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So in addition to playing the scale vertically, you could also play the D major scale horizontally, just using any of the single strings. So the only thing that changes here is your starting point. So I'm still going to play the D scale, but starting on the top string, or the G string, you'll notice this is a low G string too, so it's going to sound a little different. But on this string, I have G when I play it open, A on the 2nd fret, going up a whole step to B on the 4th fret, going up another whole step to C sharp on the 6th fret. Then we have our D note, which is our root, that's on the 7th fret, our E note on the 9th fret, and then we go up to our F sharp note, which is on the 11th fret, and then we finish off the scale on the 12th fret playing the G note. So if you were to use bar chord versions of any of the chords in the key and you were playing up in the higher register of the neck, it's good to know how to access all of the notes. So maybe something you could do is take and make a little grid of the neck using just the 12 frets and go string by string, fret by fret, and chart out the D scale so that when you're putting chords together and melodies on your own, you know that when you're here playing a chord, you have access to certain notes in that area for that register. So that's just a little tip that I would check out maybe if you have a little spare time on your hands. So that is the D major scale. Now let's check out the chords in the key of D. Our first chord, our root chord, our 1 chord, is D major. So we play D major here with middle, ring, and pinky, or index, middle, and ring on the G, C, and E strings of the 2nd fret. That sounds like this. Another variation that I'll use in our little chord melody example today is up here. So I'm playing ring finger. If you remember, we have a D root note up here on the 7th fret. Ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string, middle finger on the C string of the 6th fret, and then our index barring the bottom 2 strings of the 5th fret. So there's another D major chord in 2nd position. So that's pretty cool. Then our 2 chord, which is an E minor chord. So our 2 and 3 chords in the key are always going to be minor. So we have our E minor chord here, and we can play that like this, with ring on the C string 4th fret, middle on the E string 3rd fret, and index on the 2nd fret of the A string. I will also play it like this, where I'm grabbing my ring finger on the G string of the 4th fret, and my pinky is on the C string of the 4th fret. So we have this version of E minor as well. and I'll be using this one in the little play along. So there's our E minor chord. Our 3 chord is also minor, and that's an F sharp minor. So that corresponds with that F sharp note in the key. We have middle finger on the G string 2nd fret, index C string of the 1st fret, and ring here on the E string of the 2nd fret. There's our F sharp minor chord. Our 4 chord is a G major chord, so our 4 and 5 chords are going to be major in the major key. So we're just going to play our G chord nice and easy like this. We have index on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring on the E string 3rd fret, and middle on the B note here of the, the 2nd fret of the A string, which is a B note. For our 5 chord, we have an A major, and that's played with middle finger on the G string of the 2nd fret, index on the C string of the 1st fret. Nice sounding chord. And then we have a bar chord here for our 6th chord. So in the key of D, our relative minor is B minor. So B minor is a beautiful chord played here. Ring finger 4th fret of the G string, and then I bar the bottom 3 strings with my index on the 2nd fret, so that looks like this. And then C sharp diminished. We could play that a couple of different ways, but we'll play it right here. A nice tense sounding chord here. We have index on the G string 3rd fret, ring on the C string of the 4th fret, middle on the E string of the 3rd fret, and pinky playing that C sharp note down there on the 4th fret. So there's our diminished chord. If you can work that into a chord melody, send me a video on Instagram. I'd love to see it at All for Uke. So those are the chords that we have for the key of D. We know the major scale for the key of D. Now let's take a walk through that little example that I played for you at the beginning of the video. If you're digging the sound of my uke, head over to allforuke.com/shop. You can have a Kala ukulele for yourself. When you buy your Kala ukulele through All for Uke, you're supporting us, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you check it out. Concerts, sopranos, tenors, baritones, a wide selection of accessories, capos, and more. All for you, allforuke.com/shop. All right, so I'm going to play a little piece I put together. Again, this one doesn't have a name yet, so if you have a name for it, feel free to leave that in the comments below. But here is another refresher on the little chord melody I have for you. So here we go. All right, so we're going to break this down into 3 components here. So the first component that we're going to work on is this. So the 3 chords we need for the first little section here are E minor. You can check that out in the graphic below. But again, I'm using the ring finger on the top string here. So there's my E minor chord. And then we have the B minor chord. So we can keep our ring finger on the 4th fret of the G string, and I'm going to bar the 2nd fret. And then the 3rd chord that we need is the F sharp minor. So just worry about those 3 chords for this first little part here. So here's what I'm doing. So first I start off, and I'm just going to strum the top 3 strings here of this E minor chord. So the first move is... And then I'm going to play 2 single notes where my middle finger is on the E string. So if we were looking at it as notes, it would be G, G. And then I move to where my pinky is holding down the C string on the 4th fret and play that as a single note, and that's an E note. So I'm going strum, 3, 3, 4, or strum, G, G, E. And then I move to my B minor chord. I'm going to kind of keep this same theme in the melody. I strum the top 3 notes of the B minor chord. And I just play the E string where I'm barring the 2nd fret, and I play 2 single notes there, followed by a single note on the C string where I'm barring on the 2nd fret. So again, I have strum, pluck, pluck. And then to finish off that little section, we move over to the F sharp minor chord. And again, I'm just going to play the top 3 strings. Strum, followed by 3 plucks on the 2nd fret of the E string, and then I end it with a pluck on the C string of the 1st fret. So let's put that together nice and slow. So we have strum 3, 3, 4, strum 2, 2, 2, strum 2, 2, 2, 1. All right, for the second section here, we're going to use the G major chord and the D major chord. So to start this little section here, I'm going to do a full strum down of the G chord, followed by 2 single notes here on the 2nd fret where I'm holding down the G chord. So these are B notes on the A string. And then I end it with a G note, which is the 3rd fret of the chord I'm playing here for the G chord on the E string. So I go strum the G, 2, 2, 3. And then I move to my D major chord, and I do a full strum of that, followed by 2 plucks of the open A string, and then I end it with a single pluck on the E string on the 2nd fret there, playing that F sharp note. So when I put that together, I have strum 2, 2, 3, strum 0, 0, 2. All right, so for the third and final component of this little piece here, we start on our E minor chord, and we're going to strum the full E minor chord to start. And then we play the 5th fret of the E string, followed by the 2nd fret of the A string. So that whole move is, again, strum 5, 2. And then we move to this bar chord version of the A chord, which I may have forgot to show you in the beginning of this video, but to play this A chord here, I'm barring the 4th fret, and then I'm playing ring finger 6th fret of the G string, middle finger on the E string of the 5th fret. So that's another A chord here. So when I play this chord, I'm going to do a full down strum, followed by single pluck on the 7th fret E string, and then a single pluck on the 4th fret of the A string. So we have strum 7, 4, and then I end it with a single down strum on this D bar chord here. All right, so now we're going to do a slow walkthrough of this. I'm going to kind of talk us through as we go here, starting on the E minor chord through the entire piece. Here we go. So we start with the E minor, 3, 3, 4, B minor, 2, 2, 2, F sharp minor, 2, 2, 2, 1, move to G, 2, 2, 3, D, 0, 0, 2, E minor, 5, 2, A, 7, 4, D bar chord. Let's go through the full piece together now. So we're going to go through it 2 times, nice and slow. Really feel this out. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, thanks so much for joining me for our latest installment of Chord Melody. I hope you enjoyed learning some new chords and scales here in the key of D major. I encourage you to practice this with me by using the worksheet and the scale stuff I have available at allforuke.com, and also make your own chord melodies. So I have some worksheets put together that give you some chords to kind of intertwine some melodies in between that I think will really help you guys out when you're trying to put together your own chord melodies. If you guys like the sound of this uke that I used today, that warmth came from the low G string here on this Kala Mahogany Super Tenor. I have these available at allforuke.com/shop if you want to check those out. Really beautiful uke. I love playing this thing. I will be playing this the rest of the day, I'm pretty sure, making some new chord melodies. So, my name's Kevin. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Let's get